They swore the truth would never come out. They swore the streets would take it to the grave. But today, in a courtroom so tense you could hear a pin drop, King Von's own sister stood up and shattered the silence. And what she said, it sent shockwaves through Chicago, through the rap game, through the entire culture. Because according to her, she knows who planned Von's murder. Not rumors. Not speculation. Not internet theories. She claims she knows the name, the mastermind, behind one of the most infamous killings in hip-hop history. If you were in her shoes, watching your brother's legacy dragged through courtrooms, conspiracies, and betrayal, would you stay quiet? Or would you risk everything to expose the truth? The internet couldn't believe it, and you won't either. Fake smiles. Hidden deals. Secret phone calls. Von's sister is done holding back, and the timing couldn't be worse for some very powerful people. Bro said too much, and they got him. That's what fans whispered the night Von was killed. But now, his sister says it wasn't random. It was calculated. Let's break it all down, and trust me, it gets uglier. So just buckle up. And before we dive in, make sure you smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe so you never miss the truth the industry doesn't want you to hear. From the moment Davon Daquan Bennett, the world knew him as King Von, stepped into the rap game, his life was a ticking time bomb. Born into Chicago's O Block, raised around chaos, and built from the concrete where survival wasn't guaranteed, Von's story was never going to be simple. He was raw. He was authentic. He was dangerous in ways the industry hadn't seen in years. But beneath all the bravado, there was family, especially his sister, Kayla. To her, Von wasn't just a rapper or a street legend. He was her brother. The boy she grew up with. The one she tried to keep alive when the streets had other plans. And that's where it all begins, because according to Kayla, the warning signs were always there. She says she told him who to trust and who not to trust. She says she warned him about the snakes in his circle. And the irony? The very people she pointed at were the ones standing closest the night he was gunned down. Let's rewind for a second. Before the flashing lights, before the headlines, Von was building something. His music wasn't just entertainment, it was a diary. Songs like Crazy Story weren't fairy tales. They were coded confessions, painting vivid pictures of life on the South Side. But with every lyric, every performance, every viral moment, Von was stacking enemies as fast as he was stacking fame. And Kayla knew it. According to leaked DMs allegedly pulled from one of Kayla's private accounts, she begged him, "Watch your circle, Von. Not everybody with you is really with you." He laughed it off. Typical Von. A smirk, a shrug, and that fearless energy that made people love him and hate him at the same time. But Kayla wasn't imagining things. Weeks before the murder, she noticed changes. Strange phone calls. Whispered conversations. Von acting like he knew more than he was saying. And then came the trip to Atlanta, the one that would change everything. Now, here's where things get messy. Atlanta wasn't supposed to be a battleground. It was supposed to be music, money, and celebration. But instead, it became a death trap. Kayla later admitted she begged Von not to go out that night. Not to meet certain people. Not to walk into what she called a setup waiting to happen. But Von didn't listen. He never listened when it came to the streets. And when the bullets flew outside Monaco Hookah Lounge, Kayla's worst fears were confirmed. Von's murder wasn't just another rap beef gone wrong, at least not in her eyes. To her, it was orchestrated, calculated, planned. And the name behind it? She swore she knew. Now, let's pause here. Because the night of the murder has been analyzed frame by frame like the Zapruder film. Everyone's got their version. The official police reports, the eyewitnesses, the security footage, the bloggers who turned it into clickbait. But none of those accounts explain the one thing Kayla keeps pointing back to. Von was warned. He was told something was coming. And still, he walked straight into it. Inside the courtroom, when Kayla finally got her chance to speak, she didn't hold back. Sources say her voice cracked, but her words were sharp. I told him. I told him exactly who was plotting. And now y'all act like it's a mystery? Please. That statement alone set the internet on fire. Fans rushed to decode it. Who did she mean? Was she pointing at Lil Durk, Von's brother-in-arms turned courtroom ghost? Was she hinting at industry enemies, rappers who couldn't stand Von's rise? Or was it closer to home? Someone inside his own camp? One viral tweet read, "Kayla ain't crazy. She been saying Vaughn had enemies in his circle. Y'all just ain't listen." Another went even further. "If Kayla really knows who set Vaughn up, she better watch her back. Streets don't like loose lips." And that's the scary part. Because for every fan cheering her on, there's another one warning her to stay quiet. The streets don't forgive snitches. And if Kayla's really about to drop names, she's playing with fire. Still, the courtroom buzz didn't stop. Journalists whispered about sealed evidence, prosecutors side-eyed each other, and even the judge leaned in like he knew this wasn't a normal testimony. Kayla wasn't just grieving. She was accusing. Without saying the name directly, she was painting a picture of betrayal, and everyone in that room knew exactly which direction her finger was pointing. But here's where it gets even darker. Rumors started swirling that Kayla herself had received threats in the weeks leading up to her testimony. Anonymous DMs, late-night phone calls, cars parked outside her house. Coincidence? Maybe. But in the world of rap beef and street politics, coincidences don't exist. And just when you thought it couldn't get uglier, it did. Because behind the tears and the trembling voice, Kayla dropped a bombshell. There was more to come. She claimed she had proof. Messages. Calls. Maybe even recordings. The kind of receipts that could blow the case wide open. The courtroom erupted. Prosecutors objected. Defense attorneys rolled their eyes. But the audience? They were hooked. Because if Kayla really had proof, it wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about exposing a cover-up. The irony? Even as she spoke, Vaughn's music was blasting through TikTok trends, his streams climbing, his legacy growing. But at what cost? Kayla made it clear, if she went down, she was taking the truth with her. The courtroom was buzzing like a hornet's nest, but nothing could have prepared anyone for what came next. Because Kayla didn't just drop hints, she pulled the trigger on a scandal that's been whispered about in back alleys, studio sessions, and late-night phone calls for years. And the name at the center of it? Lildurk. Now hold on, before you clutch your pearls or start typing "Free Durk" in the comments, let's break this down. Kayla never flat out said the words, Durk did it. She didn't have to. The way she worded her statement, the timing, the references, it all pointed one way. And the internet? Oh, it ran with it like gasoline to a match. Screenshots flooded Twitter within minutes. Kayla basically confirmed Durk set Vaughn up. Others fired back. Cap. She's grieving, she don't know what she's talking about. But then came the kicker, a supposed leak of private messages between Vaughn and Kayla, just days before his death. The alleged DM read, "If anything happens, remember what I told you. Don't trust the one smiling the most." And guess what? The photo attached was a picture of Vaughn and Durk, laughing side by side at a studio session. Coincidence? Or a coded warning? Of course, the blogs ate it up. One headline screamed, "Receipts show Vaughn didn't trust Durk before his death." Another said, "Kayla drops bombshell. Is the OTF empire crumbling?" But the defense wasn't having it. They pushed back hard, calling it all manufactured drama. Their star witness even testified that the leaked messages were photoshopped. Yet somehow more evidence kept spilling onto the timeline. Fake or not, perception was being shaped in real time. And perception, in cases like this, is deadlier than bullets. Now let's talk about the real smoke. Rumors surfaced of a secret deal, whispers that Vaughn was planning to break away from OTF and start his own label. Bigger money. Bigger independence. And we all know what happens when money and loyalty clash. It gets ugly fast. An anonymous insider claimed, Vaughn wanted to take his masters, start his own thing. That didn't sit well with certain people. No names, of course. But everybody knew exactly who that finger was pointing at. And then came the alleged payoff. Courtroom spectators swore they saw documents hinting at unexplained cash transfers, late-night PayPal drops, suspicious Zelle payments, wire transfers that didn't add up. One sarcastic fan tweeted, "Because nothing screams loyalty like a 2 a.m. PayPal transfer labeled studio time. You can't make this up." Meanwhile, social media exploded with conspiracy threads. TikTok creators stitched Kayla's courtroom clip with Vaughn's old interviews, analyzing his every gesture like it was some kind of prophecy. One viral video claimed Vaughn looked hesitant, whenever Dirk's name came up. Another slowed down an old OTF group photo, circling Dirk's smirk like it was evidence straight out of CSI. But here's the thing, if Kayla really had proof, why hadn't she dropped it yet? Some say it's because she's holding back for leverage. Others say she's scared. And some, the darkest theory of all, claim she's being protected, or threatened, into silence. Adding gasoline to the fire, a so-called court leak dropped onto Reddit late one night. Transcripts suggesting prosecutors had evidence of phone calls between Vaughn, hours before his death, and someone tied directly to OTF's management. The transcript read, "Don't come out tonight. It's a setup." And yet, Vaughn showed up anyway. Fans begged the question, why? Was he fearless? Was he blindsided? Or did he know something bigger was at play? Something even Kayla wasn't ready to say? The court tried to keep order, but the story had already spun out of their control. Because now it wasn't just about Vaughn's murder. It was about betrayal, legacy, power, and whether one of rap's biggest brotherhoods was built on lies. Dirk's team, of course, denied everything. In fact, they released a statement mid-trial. These accusations are nothing more than grief-fueled delusions. Dirk loved Vaughn like a brother. Period. But the internet doesn't care about press statements. The internet cares about drama. And once Kayla planted that seed, there was no stopping it. One fan summed it up perfectly, "We don't even need proof. The vibes are proof enough." And isn't that the scariest part? When vibes outweigh facts. Because here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. Kayla wasn't done. In fact, she teased that another name was coming. And when the reporter outside the courthouse asked who, she smirked, the same smirk her brother used to wear, and said, "Y'all ain't ready for that one." The blogs went ballistic. Who could it be? Another rapper? A label executive? Someone in Vaughn's own inner circle? The speculation was endless. But then, just as everyone thought the scandal had peaked, something leaked that turned the entire narrative upside down. A blurry surveillance clip that prosecutors claimed showed Vaughn's final moments. The footage? It showed someone in a hoodie, standing just feet away, watching everything unfold, but not pulling a trigger. And the resemblance to a known rapper? Uncanny. The internet froze. Fans argued frame by frame. Some swore it was Dirk. Others said it was someone else entirely. But everyone agreed on one thing. Whoever it was, they weren't supposed to be there. And that's when it hit. Maybe Kayla wasn't just hinting at betrayal. Maybe she was warning us of a conspiracy way bigger than one man, one murder, or one night in Atlanta. Because just when we thought it was over, another name came up. The courtroom emptied out, but the echoes of Kayla's words refused to fade. Outside, protest chants blended with cries of grief, and online, it was a digital civil war. Some screamed for justice, others defended Lil Durk like he was untouchable, and the rest, they just wanted more chaos. But for Kayla, the aftermath wasn't just noise, it was survival. She was suddenly the most hunted voice in hip-hop drama. Blogs stalked her every move. Strangers slid into her DMs with proof that they knew who planned Vaughn's murder. And then came the threats. Screenshots leaked of anonymous texts, "Keep talking and you'll end up next." That's when fans realized. Kayla wasn't just grieving. She was fighting for her life. Meanwhile, Dirk's empire looked like it was cracking under pressure. OTF concerts were being cancelled, sponsors reconsidered partnerships, and rivals suddenly found the courage to throw shade. One viral TikTok showed a rapper mocking Dirk's courtroom smirk during a live performance. The crowd went wild. But the internet? Oh, it saw something else: weakness. And weakness in the rap game? That's blood in the water. Suddenly, new voices came forward. An ex-associate of Vaughn's claimed in a shady Instagram live that Dirk wasn't the only one plotting. He hinted at a triangle of betrayal: rappers, managers, even a supposed industry executive with the kind of connections that make evidence disappear. He refused to drop names, but his words were chilling. Vaughn knew too much. They had to silence him. The blog spun it instantly. Kayla plus insider testimony equals conspiracy confirmed? Of course, nothing was actually confirmed. But in the court of public opinion, confirmation doesn't need paperwork. It just needs enough retweets. And then came the darkest twist of all. An alleged audio leak surfaced, a phone call, supposedly between Vaughn and a close associate, just days before his murder. The voice, shaky but familiar, said, "They setting me up. If something happened, don't let them bury the truth." Whether it was real or fake didn't matter. Fans replayed it millions of times, dissecting every syllable. YouTube commentators slowed it down, claiming you could hear a second voice whispering in the background. Theories spiraled. Was it Dirk? Was it someone else in OTF? Or was it planted to make us think that? The paranoia was contagious. Suddenly, every face in Vaughn's circle looked guilty. Every photo was proof. Every silence was suspicious. Kayla tried to keep speaking out, but her own demeanor started shifting. On Instagram Live, she looked exhausted, nervous, glancing off camera like someone was watching her. At one point, she said, "They don't want me to say it. But y'all already know." And then, the live cut out. The internet erupted. Was she hacked? Silenced? Or did she cut it herself? Meanwhile, Vaughn's family demanded answers. In emotional interviews, they promised they wouldn't let Kayla's warnings fade into conspiracy dust. "We lost Vaughn once. We're not gonna lose the truth too," his mother said, her voice cracking. But the darker truth? The legal system was already moving on. Appeals. Motions. Delays. The machine was chewing this case into paperwork while the real war played out in whispers, DMs, and YouTube breakdowns. And Kayla? She became the lightning rod. Hated, worshipped, doubted, defended, but always watched. Fans noticed she started traveling less, posting less, and when she did, it was cryptic, black screen stories with captions like "Trust Nobody." The real kicker, though, was her final courtroom appearance. Reporters swore she walked in holding an envelope, thick, sealed, and clutched like her life depended on it. When asked what it was, she smirked, that same Vaughn-like smirk again, and said, "Evidence. But not for today." The world froze. What evidence? Who was it against? Why wasn't she dropping it? And just like that, Kayla disappeared from the spotlight. No posts. No interviews. No sightings. Gone. But here's the thing about vanishing acts: they don't erase the secrets. They amplify them. Because everyone now believes Kayla is sitting on something so explosive it could burn down the entire rap industry. And until she decides to play that card, the fear, the speculation, and the conspiracies will only grow. Think about it: a sister who warned her brother. A rapper whose smile might have been his last coded message. A trial that left more questions than answers. And a sealed envelope that may never see the light of day. So what do we have left? A smirk. A silence. And a mystery that refuses to die. Because if Kayla's story is true, then Vaughn's murder wasn't just another street beef gone wrong. It was orchestrated, protected, maybe even blessed by people with power far beyond the streets. And that right there is the scariest twist of all. She vanished without a trace, but the secret stayed. So here we are, a sister's warning, a brother's murder, and an envelope that could burn the entire industry down. You saw the breakdown. You saw the smirks. You heard the whispers. But now the question isn't about Vaughn. It's about truth. Because if Kayla really does hold the missing piece, the rap game isn't just about music anymore. It's about survival. It's about power. It's about secrets that make death look like the cheaper price to pay. And if that envelope ever opens, trust me, the fallout won't just end careers, it'll end legacies. But here's where I throw it back to you. Do you believe Kayla knows the real story behind King Von's death? Was Lil Durk really the mastermind, or just the perfect scapegoat in a bigger game? And if Kayla's silence is forced, then who, or what, is keeping her quiet? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Every theory, every hot take, every wild breakdown. You know we read them all. And don't forget, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and ring that bell, because this story, it's far from over. The next twist is already in motion. This is Spillover, and trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next.